And for, well, some more money. That's the deal over at Fannie Mae. It's asking for nearly $8 billion additional bucks from taxpayers after losing over $5 billion bucks in just the last quarter, and after giving out seven-figure bonuses to executives who apparently have been doing such a fine job with those results. To Republican Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma, who's trying to change that. Senator, very good to have you.
Yeah, good to be with you, Neil.
Senator, I don't mean to digress, but I know you've been battling prostate cancer. I don't mean to be so personal up front. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Had great doctors, great treatment, and should recover totally from it.
All right. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. Keep up the fight.
Thank you.
And you're keeping up the fight on this. What do you think should be done now, Fannie? Would you give them any more money? Would you give more money with provisos? What?
Well, I think a couple of things. Go back to Dodd-Frank. The real genesis of how we got in trouble on the real estate bubble. We had a lot of bad actors, there's no question, but we created a system under Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac where we'd take anything that came our way. So I understand that as the housing market settles out, there's still going to be some additional losses. But I think when a company's losing a lot of money, that's not the time you give bonuses. You give bonuses in anticipation of turning around where they make money. And so I think that there's some lack of judgment. Could be a case made, well, we can't get the kind of people in here to do this unless we pay better. Well, pay better, but don't give bonuses based on poor performance. And so, they're in a difficult position because Congress actually put them in that position and didn't eliminate their businesses. And that's what we should have done. And we should allow market risk to take care of that. Instead, we're going to have another couple of $100 billion that the American taxpayer is going to float to Fannie and Freddie over the next 5 to 10 years.
But why, Senator? Do we do it because we're in so deep with them that if they're on the vine or look like they could go offline, that there's going to be hell to pay? So feed the beast, feed the beast. What's the deal?
Well, I think that people are afraid of real market forces. This is not a real market force. This is a government-backed corporation that allows these things to happen. If the real market forces, probably things would cost a little bit more, and people say, oh, we don't want that to happen right now. But they're costing more anyhow. We're just going to pay for it later.
But so we keep giving them new responsibilities, right? We want them to back these new loans and maybe these new mortgage relief programs, thereby potentially putting them in an even deeper hole.
Well, not them, us. Just remember.
Right, that's exactly right.
We're putting the American taxes. So the first thing is to be honest with the American people, treat them like adults. Here's the problem. Here's what we did wrong. Here's how you fix it. And we shouldn't continue doing the same things that we did wrong, thinking we're going to get a different outcome. That's number one. Number two is people who work hard and perform above expectations ought to be rewarded. That doesn't necessarily mean bonuses. That means you reevaluate what you're going to pay them in the next year so that they'll do the same thing. So I think they created a stupid setup where it became a controversial issue. And everything they're doing is controversial in terms of the long-term health of the country.
All right, let's switch gears to this super committee. I guess in a super pickle right now because some Republicans have offered to put revenues on the table by closing tax loopholes and credits. They say technically not a tax increase. Democrats haven't similarly come back and offered cuts in the growth and entitlements. So do you think those Republicans were snookered?
No, I think, look, Neil, I'm as concerned. I don't want us to raise taxes, but the political reality of where we are in this country, we have a Democratic president, a Democratic-controlled Senate, and we have problems we have to fix. And you're not going to get them to do entitlement reforms unless you give them some revenue. So I'm not critical of that. That's the reality of where we are. The option of doing nothing is a disaster.
So I understand, sir, but in other words, getting rid of credits or tax loopholes, I see what you mean. It's technically a revenue enhancement or technically a tax increase, but it's got to be done and obligates people who aren't paying taxes to pay taxes. But then don't you have to see the other side put their pound of flesh in? And if they're not, isn't that a problem?
I think they've offered that, and I think what Republicans have offered, I actually have the details in detail in my pocket. It was given to me by one of the members. The fact is they've offered a very fair way to balance both sets of priorities for both political priorities and put those secondary to what's in the best interest of the country. And the Democrats should not walk away from that. They should not be at a stalemate. They should come back and say, man, you guys have moved the law. Let's get a deal wrapped up.
What's going to happen in 2 weeks?
I think we'll have a deal. Look, I was going to make the point. What happens bad to the country if we don't get a deal? Number one is the confidence, which is so low in Washington right now, goes lower. which
Okay.
is dangerous for our republic. Number two is our debt rating is then put at risk again.
Right.
And number three, the certainty and confidence of the American people in terms of investing additional capital will slow down the growth that we have, even though it's not big now.
All right. Well put, Senator. Continued good health. Be well, Senator.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you, Neil.
All right, in deep, leave the keys. Feeling guilty? Talk to the New York Times.